In the meantime, focusing on markets that are kind of nonplussed in this final day of trading today for the month, a month that will be up for all the major averages. And for housing, despite the mixed data, still by and large stable, certainly when compared to where we were this time 7 years ago. We've got housing analyst Tim Rood and Katrina Campins on what impact a rate hike will have if it comes to pass. And Katrina, we're told it will come to pass later next month. If that is the case, tell me what happens to housing.
Well, low interest rates and steady jobs have actually helped the housing market, as you know. What I'm experiencing with a lot of buyers is the anticipation that interest rates will indeed go up has actually gotten them off the fence. So they're eager to find that house, which many times can be frustrating for them because there isn't a lot of inventory for them to choose. So they feel like they're pressured just to settle because interest rates are going to continue to go up. I think one of the bigger obstacles is actually a down payment, especially within the younger generation. I'm finding that a lot of them have been living with their parents, waiting for the perfect time to buy and saving up for that down payment. And this interest rate hike is actually probably going to hinder their ability to move forward.
You know, the fear is obviously with one rate move that in and of itself doesn't change the equation, Tim, but never is the Fed, or rarely is the Fed, one and done, that there are a series of moves that could lead rates prohibitively higher than where they are now. Do you think that hurts housing? What do you think?
Yeah, well, they've certainly acted pretty tentatively when you have this kind of guidance, too, that talks about explicitly maybe. I mean, that's not really, that's the kind of guidance that's not very helpful. I mean, that's like asking a girl out to the prom and she says, if everything else falls through, maybe. You know, it's not,
Tell me about it. Tell me about it. But your fear is that this is, we're not appreciating the gravity of this.
Well, I mean, so in isolation, an interest rate increase should stem some of the demand for housing, just from an affordability standpoint. But what we're seeing is, as long as it's actually reflecting positive, strengthening economies, it's perfectly fine. Borrowers have more confidence. You actually find that lenders are more liberal lending credit when they see that the economic conditions are rising.
That's interesting. Katrina, you know, history does suggest, not all the time, but a lot of the time, when rates are going up, housing actually does pretty well. I don't know whether it's fence setters getting off the fence, or just this feeling, to his point, that things are getting better out there. But I guess it also depends on how many rate hikes we're looking at, right?
Right, and I think that's such a valid point, is how many hikes are we going to have? Because I think one or two is not going to really affect the overall housing market. If anything, I think it'll strengthen it. But I think, you know, in the long term, how many hikes are we going to have? I think, you know, historically, we're still, again, we have really low interest rates, historically speaking. And so the housing market, I think, is not going to be affected, you know, on the short term. But let's see how, you know, the long term it's affected. And the economy is still doing well and people have jobs. So let's see what happens with the rest of the world. That could ultimately affect, you know, our country.
Gotcha. All right, knock on whatever. Guys, thank you both very, very much.